Okay.
Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is author Candance Taylor. I am here tonight. I am waiting a few moments while people are coming in. When you get on, uh, please type in where you are from and your name and speak to us. Hello. We are here on tonight, and author Candance Taylor will be interviewing a beautiful lady that I know. Mary Hale is her name. So come on in. Tell us where you're from. Type in the chat. And I do believe that closed captioning is also available on the Zoom because I see it the text, the chatting. So again, tell us if you're just joining us. Please tell us where you're from, and we will get started in just a minute. So, hello, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Arthur Candance Taylor. I am here on tonight with my beautiful friend, Miss Mary Hale. And tonight I will be interpreting as well as speaking. So please be patient with me because sometimes that can be difficult. Just one moment. I see someone is chatting with me and they're asking how they can get on. So hold on just one second. Hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna. Okay, I just recently shared it on Mary's page. So hopefully that person that just contacted me can see. Just let me see. Yeah, you should be able to see now. Hello, hello. Good evening on tonight. Please share where you are from and your name. And how did you hear about this interview? Okay. All right. So I think we are ready. So again, my name is Arthur Candance Taylor, and I am the founder of Taylor Made Visual Productions. And this is a nonprofit organization that supports and helps those youth that are ages 7 to 18 years of age that are deaf, or hard of hearing, or that has any other disabilities. Our goal is to provide services in the arts that would allow them a safe place for them to express themselves, such as in acting, in theater, in drawing or creative writing, as well as painting, dance. So they will get an opportunity to be able to express themselves with other people that look and sound like them. Um, so yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. Again, I am signing and talking at the same time, so bear with me. Tonight, I didn't have an interpreter, so it is me that will be interpreting tonight's meeting. So I hope that you came to learn. I hope that you came to have fun. I hope that you came with an open mind to receive and to receive that the information that we will have, and we will hear and hear from Mary. And so Mary, I was signing seeing because some people can see, they can hear with their eyes, and then some people can hear with their ears. So that's why I was saying it again and again. Um, and so we have my beautiful friend Mary Hale here on tonight. And so I want to introduce her. I have been knowing her. We were just recently talking, and we were trying to remember how long ago it's been, but it's been a long time that we've been knowing each other. And she's been the same ever since I first met her. She's a beautiful and wonderful lady. She's an advocate. She's a supporter. And so I am proud to be able to interview her and allow her to share her story with the world. And so, hello, Mary. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Candance, and thank you so much for having me.
Good, good. Thank you so much for being willing to join me on tonight. I just wanted to, are you okay? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, thank you. I'm using my cochlear implants.
Okay, okay. All right, so we'll get started. And the first question that I have, and oh, before we start, if you have any questions that you want to ask Mary or myself, please feel free to type it in the chat. Again, if you have any questions at any time, you can type it in the chat. and I'll do my best to go through those questions and answer them or ask her if you have specific questions for Mary. All right, so Mary, can you just kind of describe a little bit about yourself, maybe your background and where you are from, and how did you what diagnosis do you have?
Okay, well, first of all, I am living in St. Louis, Missouri. I am 71 years old now. Oh, wait a minute, 71 years young. And I am considered deaf blind. I was born with a hereditary disease which caused my deaf blindness. It is called Usher's syndrome, and I have type 2, which means when I was born, I was born with a hearing loss in both ears, and I started to lose my vision in my late teens. And both the hearing and the vision is progressive as you age. You know, it deteriorates more as you age. My hearing loss at birth was approximately 50%, they say. And I grew up wearing one hearing aid. Back in those days, I guess they thought that was enough because I did not get my second hearing aid until I was in my early 20s. And wow, what a difference. I did not know just how much I was missing until I got a second hearing aid. I guess it would be kind of like um, if all of a sudden you could see with both eyes instead of just one eye. You know, it makes a big difference. You just see a more well-rounded, visual in front of you, I would gather. Um, what else can I say? um,
And
my
okay, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Yeah, I'll follow your lead.
Yes, so I appreciate that you said that so you had a hearing loss in both ears,
Mhm.
but they only gave you one hearing aid. Do you know why they might have just only gave you one? Was it just kind of like shunned upon at that time, or is it they just felt that they thought it would be better to just give you just one?
Well, we're going back a ways now. We're talking late 50s, early 60s here. So back in those days, the hearing aid that we wore, there was a box that you wore on your chest. There was a strap that strapped it to your chest, and it had a wire that went all the way up around and into your ear. And I am assuming that was kind of the normal practice back at that time. It was either that or my parents just couldn't afford a second one. I'm not sure. They're gone now, so I don't worry about it. But the fact of the matter is, I grew up and went to all through my schools with really not hearing as well as I should have. And I missed a lot, which I did not know until I got the second one. And one of the misnomers that many people think that when somebody has a hearing aid or even cochlear implant, they think, oh, well, they can hear better now. They can hear everything. No hearing aid, no cochlear implant will ever give you 100% hearing. So no matter what device you may be wearing or using, you're still going to have some deafness. You just have to do the best you can with what you can get, with technology and so forth.
Yes, I understand that. And I'm glad that you said that, because some people um, who don't know may think that, oh, if I just get a hearing aid or if I just get a cochlear, that, oh, everything will just be perfect. It'll just be okay. And I'm glad that you said that it doesn't really matter how much technology improves. There's something, you may miss, or that it may not catch, that, you're not going to understand clear, or you're not going to hear something clearly, or you're not going to see something clearly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're not important, or that you're not valuable,
Hmm.
or that you won't succeed in life because you choose not to have a hearing aid or a cochlear, or or you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
pick a hearing aid or a cochlear, but you're still missing things. it doesn't
Hmm. Yeah.
it doesn't deplete your worth.
Yeah. I grew up oral, meaning I with speech, because even though uh, I only had the one hearing aid, I was still able to hear some speech. Of course, I had to go through many years of speech classes because I could not pronounce my words right because I couldn't hear them. And so, like I said, it's progressive, and um, many people with hearing aid think that hearing aid is the answer to everything, and it's great for those with mild or moderate or even severe hearing loss. But when you get to the range of profound, um, moderate hearing loss is like about 50%. So profound hearing loss is when you have like around a 90% hearing loss, like all you have is 10% hearing left, And when you get up to that range, hearing aids can only do so much. They can only be, tweaked so much, and they only can be so powerful. And and then the inner hair cells get more damage as you age too. So when they get beyond repair, not repair, but when they get beyond where the hearing aid can help them, that's when a lot of people will transition to a cochlear, the one that can qualify for it. Not everybody can qualify for a cochlear because it's just not meant for every hearing loss situation. In my particular case, I got my first cochlear 15 years ago. And in that year, I was down to 10% what they call speech recognition, meaning in a 10-word sentence, I could only understand one word. Now, there's a difference between hearing sounds and understanding words. There's a big difference. When I got my cochlear set up, because it takes time to get it, activated and used to it, I went from 10% to 80%. So fantastic. I could hear things, I could hear the birds. I could hear the refrigerator. I could hear clocks ticking that I never heard before. So it was amazing. It was amazing. And then I got my second cochlear implant 2 years ago because, again, the hearing aids were only doing so much, and I decided that I wanted to do the two cochlears so I could maximize whatever hearing we could capture now, and then I won't lose it. That is one advantage of a cochlear implant over a hearing aid, is once you reach a certain level, I should maintain that for the rest of my life.
That's good. I'm learning too. I didn't know that, um, that they sometimes will transition you from a hearing aid to a cochlear implant, um, based off of your age, and how much, and so that can help, to improve your hearing, as you're getting older. So I didn't
Mhm.
know that. That's good. That's interesting.
You
And
know, I
thank
was
you again for you all that have joined us. Again, please feel free to type a question that you may have for Mary in the chat. as we are talking, I am looking as well as interpreting too. Again, tonight I am the interpreter, I am the speaker, and the interviewer, and but I am enjoying my conversation with Mary. So please feel free to type in the chat your questions as well as your name and where you are from and how did you hear about this interview. And so, Mary, I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you. What were
No,
you saying?
I interrupted you, but no. What I wanted to add one more thing about cochlear implant is, I know quite a few people, in the deaf community, hard of hearing community, and I do know of quite a few people who are deaf, or well, they consider themselves deaf. I'll put it that way, and some of them wear cochlear implants simply for the environmental sounds, for safety reasons. In other words, they may not be able to pick up spoken word with the cochlear implant, but for safety factors, because safety is so important. Whether you're deaf or blind, safety is so important.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. That's good. And so what would you say? Well, you kind of already really said the that you felt the most helpful thing in the technology was, just now being able to hear more than you had been before with the two cochlear implants. And
Hmm.
so you're saying that you can hear about 80% now?
Right, right.
So can you
Yeah.
share a little bit about your cochlears and like what you did like before you joined before we started the interview? Can you share like the technology that
Oh,
has
okay.
improved about it from way back when?
Well, okay. Well, yeah, because hearing aids and cochlears have come a long way over the years. Remember, I said 50 years ago that or so, I had to wear a box on my chest. Not then they went to all in the ear hearing aids and so forth. But nowadays there are so many wireless accessories that go with it. And for this interview that we're doing today, um, we were experimenting a little bit before we started, and I was having a little trouble understanding all of what you were saying. So, what we did was, I have what we call a wireless microphone that we connected to the laptop that we're using for Zoom, and that wireless microphone is sending the sound directly into my cochlear implant, and I can hear you perfectly with no interruptions, with any other sounds going on. And it just makes a world of a difference. I use wireless mics for so much, for Alexa, excuse me. Alexa might be coming on right now.
Why'd the chicken cross the
Alexa,
road?
stop. See, I told you.
Get upwind from the skunk.
Alexa, stop.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. And I use it to listen to books, the TV, and so forth. Yeah, we got to worry about that A, We got what we have to.
Right, we gotta worry about that. Hey.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, so this has really come a long ways. Now, I wanted to also speak a little bit about the blindness aspect because I am deaf blind. And, my blindness in my case started in my late teens, but it became more noticeable in my early 20s. And with Usher's syndrome, you start losing with night vision loss, meaning, well, back in those days, I was trying, I had a hard time in the bars, because they were dark, I was 19, 20, 21, but even going into a movie theater, or restaurants that are not well lit, I had a really hard time. And then as your vision gets progressively worse, what do you call it? You lose your sense of colors. I cannot see colors at all. I can see a little bit. I have what they call light perception. I can see lamps, windows with sunlight coming in the windows, and I orient myself in a room that way. If there's really good lighting nowadays, I can see some contrast, like black versus white, so I can tell, like on my wall, I'll have a dark light switch on a white wall so that I can find the light switch, things like that. Um, but yeah, so the color contrast, and then the vision part of the vision loss part of the Usher syndrome is called retinitis pigmentosus. So RP for short. Everybody says
Okay.
RP.
RV. Is it
Yeah,
RV?
it's RP.
Oh, RP. Because I
I
was gonna
yeah,
say, how you gonna sign that?
yeah. Don't try
RP.
to RP. And So with that, it's tunnel vision. So everybody with normal vision, it's basically 180 degrees. But as your retinitis pigmentosis or RP goes, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So basically, all nowadays, all I can see is a very small area in front of me. So you could be standing right here, and I won't see you at all unless you move that 2 inches over where I can see you. I have very limited vision now. It's progressive. I've been legally blind at least 20 years. And, it is what it is. Like most people who have gone through any kind of loss, I had my grieving period, I'll call it, my frustrations and learning to deal with it. But I'm in a better place now. I don't worry about what I cannot do. I just focus on what I can do. Life is a lot simpler that way. And
Yeah, I
it,
like that. That's
it,
encouraging.
it is. Because if you worry about what you cannot do, you're going to be unhappy. How can you be happy if you're always worried about what you can't do? I can't drive anymore, or you don't want me driving anymore. I'll put it that way. And um, but it my eyes were open. A while back. I'll say somebody invited me to a deaf blind group. Now this was quite a while back, and at that time I was wearing hearing aids, and I had much better vision than I have today. And I said, well, I'm not deaf blind, but I'll go. I didn't think of myself as deaf blind. And I went to this organization. I met other people like me for the very first time, same vision, hearing loss type of situation. And we also had a lot of total deaf with blindness that was signing or tactile signing. I mean, pardon the pun, but it opened my eyes and it opened my ears to a whole new world. And that was my eye-opening. Well, again, my initiation into it's not about me. Stop worrying about yourself. There are so many other people out there who have more challenges than you. And so I became involved, of course. I'm not one to sit back and not speak up. And next thing I know, I was on the board, and after a few years, I became president of that organization. And this was in the state of Ohio. And I learned so much from so many people there. Um, just interpreting, what they have to go through, what to learn to interpret, and what the deaf blind person has to do to respond and to especially tactile signing. That is so difficult. I know it is. And um, so to make a long story short, when my husband had a job transfer and he moved from Ohio to St. Louis, I knew I wanted to bring what I learned to St. Louis. And I got in contact with the representative from Helen Keller at that Beth Jordan, and we met. And I told her what my envisions were. I said, I want my life to have some purpose now that I'm here. You know what I mean? I I want to have some meaning. So I had a short-term goal and a long-term goal. My short-term goal was to establish a deaf-blind peer support group in St. Louis because I already knew there was nothing for anybody like that. In fact, we're, that was 16 years ago, and we're still the only deaf-blind organization that meets monthly in the state of Missouri. Um, it, it, it,
Wow.
it's amazing. Candance, I know you've been to some of those meetings, and it's amazing because I got to meet so many people, and I got to see them become more active, more self-confident. You know, they were networking with one each other. They increased the base of friendship. They weren't just stuck at home, you know, being deaf blind. They were out meeting people and doing things, and it was so wonderful to see. And then, like I said, that is called Sight and Sound Impaired of St. Louis. It still exists. I'm not the president anymore, but that's okay. I'm retired from that. um, but
And
we
so if we go back to that, if we kind of
okay,
go back a little bit,
okay.
so you said that that you had wanted to bring what you had learned from Ohio here
Hmm.
to St. Louis.
Hmm.
And so I know that you had spoken about, you had learned a little bit about interpreters and what they do. You learned a little bit about tactile signing. So for those people who may not know what tactile signing is, I can explain. An interpreter is like what I'm doing right now. And so processing the English, um, and then facilitating that communication and putting it on my hands into American Sign Language, ASL. And so I'm processing it up here in my brain and then putting it out on my hands. That's why I said please bear with me because sometimes talking and signing at the same time can be difficult for some. Now some people is they're better than others, but I'm not used to that. Um, but and so that's interpreters. So they are really the person in the middle that's facilitating the communication between the deaf person and the hearing person. And so, tactile signing, can you explain what you had learned?
Well, I what I like I said, I had a little bit more vision back then, and I could see. Can people see me? I
Yes,
mean,
they can see.
okay, okay. So I have my hand open, and the interpreter is going to be signing, you know, in my hand. But I would have one hand open and the other one kind of feeling a little bit. You know, between the two hands, I'm going to be able to feel, hopefully, what you're signing. It, you know, I know many of you have heard of deaf time, you know, deaf time meaning things slow down a bit. Well, there's also a thing called deaf blind time, meaning even slower. Not only because of tactile signing, but simply because of our vision loss. We the amount of information we need, you know, to do anything. Um, so yeah, so moving on from there, my long-term goal was to get an SSP SSP program started in Missouri. SSP, for those who don't know, stands for Support Service Provider. It is a national movement among the deaf-blind community. And what these SSPs do is they are the eyes and the ears of a deaf-blind person. So I can I can go out shopping and my SSP is right alongside of me and can help me shop, help me find my way around. I'm blind, remember, I can't see, help me find the product or read the labels on the product, um, you know, uh, guide me so that I'm not walking into poles, which I have done. Uh, at the same time, to help with communication because let's say, for example, I'm at the checkout and the checkout person telling me, oh, it's so and so amount of money, and I can't hear what they're saying, or the deaf person that doesn't understand. So the SSP is telling us, oh, it is, so and so amount of money. And then they can help me put my credit card in the machine or whatever. I mean, I still don't know how to do those things, but thank goodness for SSPs because they really help a lot. I mean, SSPs, they open our world because we are not stuck at home. We can go to meetings, we can go to support meetings, we can go to shopping, we can go to banks, just doing simple, get a haircut. We can go to church. We can do so much with the SSP because they're right there with us, guiding us, keeping us safe, and helping us with communication. Communication is probably the biggest thing, regardless whether you're deaf or blind. Communication is the number one thing of importance. That's the way I look at it. And so that I feel like I've accomplished a lot since I've been here and in Missouri, I mean, in St. Louis, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm not done yet, so I'm going to keep advocating and trying to help those with deafness, blindness, and deaf blindness.
Yes, and I too have experience whenever I was going to the meetings, the SASI SASISTL, those meetings. When I was going, I've experienced being an SSP, and like Mary said, yes, it does open your eyes to a lot. I was, we were, we would set up days or times to go places. I remember, and the SSP would be able to go with someone and learn, And so
Mhm.
I went a few times with someone, and they showed me or explained to me how to tell them what was on their plate
Mhm.
by the clock, you
Right.
know. And he said, okay, I forgot where we had went, but he explained it. He said, okay, now you think of this plate as a clock, and you share and tell me, where's my chicken, where's my mashed potatoes, and where's this and where's that. And I would say, okay, your chicken is at 6 o'clock. Your mashed potatoes is at 12 o'clock, and that kind of thing. And so that was interesting, as
Mhm.
well as I learned how to, you know, um, not be like forceful, but to allow them to kind of, if they wanted or felt comfortable grabbing a little hold of your arm, to kind of just, they wanted to hold on, to it, just to where you're walking, and you're just kind of guiding them along the way. And it just depended on the person that you were with, because like Mary said, everybody is different, and everybody has different needs. But
Mhm.
it really was interesting and I loved it. I really enjoyed being an SSP, because I got a chance, like she said, to meet, to mingle, and to go places, and so it was really fun, to be able to do that. So I appreciate. So have you is the SSP program still in the works, or is it still
Oh
working?
no, it took me 8 years, but I got involved with networking with different boards and different people, and I eventually became a commissioner at the Missouri Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing in Jefferson City, and that's where I got the ear of the executive director there, and we were able, it took 8 years altogether, but we were able to get a bill passed in Missouri so that we have a paid SSP program now in the state of Missouri, meaning it's similar to what interpreters do for the deaf. You hire an interpreter to help the deaf with communication wherever they may be. We can hire SSPs to go with us wherever we need to go. They'll help us with transportation, they'll help us with communication and safety and guidance. We can go to the zoo and they'll tell us, what's on our right, what animal is there. They can describe the animal, things like that. So it's come a long ways. It started off small, but it has grown tremendously. We are now currently in the process of trying to get another bill passed to increase the funding because it has grown so much. We ran out of money. So we want to keep the program going because there are so many people with both deafness and blindness. Now, I know the term deaf blind, everybody thinks, oh, you're total deaf, total blind. That's not the case. There are some, but it's a very small number that total deaf, total blind. The majority are either total deaf or hard of hearing with some vision loss of, legal blind, total vision loss or something, or, well, whatever. In other words, there's different degrees. Like I was saying before, even with the hearing loss, you have your mild hearing loss, moderate, severe, profound, and deaf. Well, the same thing with vision. You have your what they consider low vision, then legal blindness, then total blind. And there's so many different variations of deaf blindness depending on the type of vision loss. Whether it, well, like I was saying with RP, it starts with night vision, peripheral vision. Not everybody has peripheral vision. Some people have macular degeneration, which is the opposite. They see on the side, but nothing in front of them. So there are just so many different variations of deaf blindness.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's interesting. And that's good, that you're working on getting another bill passed. Do you know how far along it is with becoming with
Wow.
with it being passed? I know with everything changing now, it may take
Yeah.
a little time, but
Yeah. We were hoping to hear something by now, but we're waiting right now for it to be assigned to a committee. And once it gets assigned to a committee, hopefully we get the dates where we can go down to Jeff City again, the capital, to testify again. With the need for the SSPs for the deafblind, and it was interesting the last time when we did the testimonies because we had all different kinds of deafblindness people there testifying, and they got to see the wide range and they got to see the blind train. And for those who don't know what the blind train is, you have a sighted person in front and the next person right behind holding on to their elbow or their shoulder, whichever. And then right behind them, another blind person. Then behind that, another blind person. So this one-sided person is trying to guide all these people through a crowd. And I think it made an impact. And plus, I had my guide dog back then.
Yeah, and I think your dog name was Bill.
Yeah, Bellamy, that
Bella.
French for beautiful friend, and she was a
Bella.
beautiful standard poodle. You remember her then?
Yes, I do
Yeah,
remember her.
yeah, I got her in '09.
Okay, yep, yep.
Yeah, she passed about 3 years ago, but she was good. She was fantastic. She was solid black and just beautiful and just the best guide dog anybody could ask for. She kept me out of trouble.
And you all who are watching, feel free to type in any questions for Mary that you like to ask her, and I'd be more than happy to um, to speak those questions if you had any. This has been really interesting thus far, and I truly appreciate you, Mary. Did you all have any questions? I'm just, I'm just waiting to see if I can see anybody that's typing. And while we're waiting, Mary, is there anything that you would like to share that that you want people to know about um, trying to think of how to word this. That there's anything that you would like for people to know about the deaf blind the community, something encouraging or something that you may like a question that you may always get, or just one thing that you want to share with the people.
Well, one thing I would like to share is we're ordinary people, just like everybody else. We may not be able to see or hear very well, um, but we welcome people to come up and talk to us or associate with us. But the thing, most people, they're not comfortable and they don't know how to approach us. And first of all, let's dealing with the blind side of it is I've always said, you know, let somebody know you're approaching, say their name or maybe lightly touch them on the hand or the arm to say, let them know you're there because they may not even know you're there if you don't say something. And then always identify yourself. I am Sue, the teacher here, or whatever. And, one thing that for the blind, a lot of people have issues with is somebody wants to help and they'll come up and like grab their arm and kind of pull them along and, like to help them cross the street or whatever, or get through a door or whatever. That no, 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 don't grab an arm. Come up and ask if you can help them because they will let you know and they appreciate it. I appreciate it when people come up and say, "Can I help you?" And I'll either say yes or no, and then if I need help, I'll be specific. Um, Likewise, if I say ask you, where something is, don't tell me it's over there because I haven't a clue where over there is. But if you tell me it's to my left, about 3 feet in front of me, I will have a better idea. Similar to the face clock for where the food is on the plate, gives me an idea. Um, and as far as deafness goes, for those with the hearing loss or total deaf, always approach the person and face them when you're speaking. Get their attention first before even speaking. Again, blind or deaf, get their attention first because otherwise they're not even going to know you're talking to them or they're going to miss the first part of it. So it just makes it so much easier if you just let yeah, the deafblind person know you're there to begin with, and then ask if you can help, and then from there, hey, the conversation can be pretty normal.
I thank you so much for that sharing because, yes, a lot of people may not know how to approach someone, or they may feel nervous, or they
Mhm.
may see that the person need help, or and they don't know how, so then they just walk away or
Right,
whatever.
right.
So that's good. I don't see any questions. Is there anyone that has a question for Mary? And Mary, I'm just waiting to see if I
Mm-hmm,
see
mm-hmm,
one in the chat.
mm-hmm. And let me know when I can speak again.
You can speak. Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't want to interrupt. And if anybody knows of anybody, whether it's a child or an adult, um, with what they suspect is a hearing and a vision loss, reach out to the Helen Keller National Center. They are amazing, and they can help give direct, guidance and support of resources. I am also involved with the Deafblind Technical Assistant Project. It's a long name, but it it's a deafblind state agency that serves children from birth to 21, and they are amazing. They try to, you know, there are so many people that are out there that could use services, but again, people, even parents, I don't think of their children as being deafblind, and these agencies that are out there, they can offer so much. There's grants out there for assistive technology. I mean, nowadays everything practically is assistive technology, and we can do so much with that. Um, Again, like my mini mic with my cochlear. I got a set of glasses recently called Meta. What's it? Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses, something like that. And so when people put them on, it can tell us what's in front of us. We can ask, what's in front of us, or what color is this, or something like that. And when a lot of people with iPhones there are so many apps on there that can help us with communication, whether, because of your hard of hearing or deaf, or or just blind apps to tell us what's in front of us, or we can point the camera on the phone to something, and somebody at the other end of the phone will tell us, "Oh, that's a can of peas or corn or whatever." I mean, there's just so much out there for technology, but we need the people to be aware that all they have to do is reach out.
And if you don't mind, if do you have like the contact information for the Helen Keller Center,
For Missouri
where
or
someone
for the
can,
national.
yeah, the one you just named, the national.
Well, I don't have it off the tip of my hand, but I can send it to you.
Okay. So she will send it to me and then I can put it in the comments for
Okay.
anyone that it may support, or for anybody who needs it, because you just never know who may watch this video, and so they may need that service, and so I want to be able to put it in the chat. And then I also, this video will be available on YouTube as well. So I'll put it in the description as well once you share it.
Yeah. And that children deaf blind agency I was talking about, every state has that. So I don't know if there's a national number for that, but I can reach out and try to find out. But yeah, I mean, there's help out there, but the problem is if you're deafblind, you don't have access to a lot of this stuff. So usually it's the family or a friend that has to, hey, there's something here that can help you. So you reach out to people around you.
Thank you so much. That was good. Okay, and so we are going to be ending our interview. It is 7:26, and so we want to thank you so much, Mary, for I want to thank you for joining me on tonight. I thank you so much for you sharing all of your knowledge and
Hmm.
your story and your experiences with all of us on tonight. Thank you so much. And for those who are watching, again, my name is Arthur Candance Taylor. I am the owner of Tailor Made Visual Productions. You may see it on Facebook. I have an Instagram page as well. Please feel free to like my page and follow me as we continue to do interviews with deaf, hard of hearing, deaf blind, my deaf blind friends, and hear their stories and all of the things that they're doing and the impact that they're making in their communities. Tailor Made Visual Productions is a nonprofit organization that serves the youth ages 7 to 18 years of age in the arts and entertainment uh, arena. And so if you want to learn more about this organization, you can visit my website at www.tailormadevp.org. Again, I thank you so much for you joining me on tonight. I will see you again next month on May the 15th, I believe, with my next interviewee, um, Tia Lurie. And so thank you again so much for joining, and we hope to see you again. Thank you. Good night.